Welcome back to AM Northwest. Okay, do you get your retirement planning advice from a captive or an independent? Here to explain the difference and why we need to know the difference, we welcome back financial planning and consulting specialist David Swanson. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
I have never heard of this before, an independent or a captive.
Right.
So explain, let's start with the captive. What is a captive?
Okay, so a captive agent is an advisor who works for a company.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right, so you're captive, meaning that you have rules and regulations and investment services that you can provide that the company has set out for you. So it's a limited list of what it is.
Oh.
So for the first 10 years of my career, I worked for Merrill and PaineWebber, and they both had a list of investments that you could sell, and they had their own proprietary products, meaning that they made their own mutual funds and so forth. So if you work for a captive company, say Merrill or Morgan Stanley or whatever, if you work at Merrill, you're not going to hear about Morgan Stanley mutual funds.
Oh, right.
If you work at Morgan Stanley, you're not going to hear about Wells Fargo, or you're not going to hear about Merrill. So what you have is a set script, and there's a reason why they want to sell their particular homegrown investments versus maybe someone else's, and that motive is one thing and one thing only.
Money.
Right.
Okay.
They make more money by selling their own than they do another. So that provides a conflict of interest. It's, if you're the advisor, you only have a small list, and you know you're going to get paid more on one thing than another, so the tendency would be to recommend something you're going to make more on than you're not.
Right.
But you as the client, you don't know.
Right.
And so we get back to what we've talked about before about being a fiduciary and having to disclose all the fees in advance and to making sure that you put your customer's best interest ahead of yours. Well, in that particular situation, you can't win. Your customer's interests are not being served because you're charging them a higher fee on a product that may not be as good as something else.
And so then you become an independent.
Then you become an independent, absolutely.
Right.
And when you're an independent advisor, you're not captive to any one company. You can search through the universe and select whatever investments that there are. And in most cases, as we are an independent investment advisory firm, your fees are pretty much uniform. You get paid about the same no matter what it is. So fees are really important. And again, being a fiduciary as we are, we disclose all of our fees in writing before you sign up or have anything, so you know what's going on before. But most advisors are not fiduciaries, and they don't have that.
Are all independents fiduciaries and all captives not fiduciaries, or it can vary?
It can. You really hit it on the head. It really is about on those lines. About 90% of advisors are not full fiduciaries. They're simply not. But as being an independent registered investment advisor, we are inherent as the moment we signed up for that, and I've been over 20 years, we are full fiduciaries from the very beginning. And if you have a question, if your advisor is not a fiduciary, ask him to put it in writing. Say, are you a fiduciary? Are you putting my best interest at heart? Are you giving me all the fees disclosed before? Are you selling me the best of all the products, or am I just limited to a group that your company says that you can recommend for me?
Do you have to go through some kind of training or some kind of paperwork process to become a fiduciary?
You have very rigorous licensing requirements, and to be an advisor, every single year you have to reapply with this. Your license expires every 12 months.
Oh.
So you have to continually reapply. You have to have your financial status of your business disclosed. You have to have any complaints or issues about you. They come out to the forefront. And so the state regulates the best that they can what's going on with each individual advisor. You work for a company, the company takes care of it. You work an independent, you take care of it.
As an advisor who's worked both in captive and independent, now independent, which do you prefer?
There's no question.
Yeah.
I left the captive
Because it gives you
agency.
a lot of choices then, right?
Well, if I sat down with you and I said, look, I have 15 things that I can offer you, but there's really 50. Would you be better served by looking at all of the choices versus just a few? But my company would control what I can offer, and that's just not right for clients.
Absolutely. Now, I know we have a lot of viewers who sent us questions through our AM Northwest page, so we're going to do that. We're going to take questions from you, the viewer, and we'll get the answers to those questions when we return. Don't go away. Thank you so much for watching AM Northwest this morning. David Swanson from Swanson Financial is back to answer your retirement planning questions. So let's start with this one from a viewer. We are soon to be retired and are looking for someone to help us. How do we get started in finding a good fiduciary advisor?
Well, watching the show is a good place to start. So
That's what we always say.
absolutely, everything starts with AM Northwest.
Right.
So do your research, talk to a number of people, talk to your friends, but make sure you ask immediately if the person can provide you with their fiduciary status.
Okay.
Because without it, you're not going to be protected as well as you would with somebody that does. So you deserve the best. You're getting one shot to get this thing right. So find somebody that you trust, that is qualified, that's registered, that's experienced, that can give you tax and investment advice, and that you like. And really,
Right.
at the end of the day, you're going to be with this person for the rest of your life. So
Right.
you better find someone that you feel good about.
Is that something you can Google? You can Google David Swanson, fiduciary, and it'll say,
Absolutely.
okay.
Yep.
All right, next question. I have been with the same advisor for more than 10 years. He only recommends the mutual funds his company offers. Should I be concerned?
So is he a captive agent or an independent
Sounds
agent?
like he's a captain.
There you go. So I would want to have the biggest pool of resources and the choices that I have. Now, those mutual funds may have done very, very well for them, or they may not have. You just need to make sure that what your money is invested in is in line with what your objectives are. And you've got to have that information from somebody that you really trust, that's credible. And that's really key to this.
Okay. This one is, I really trust my investment advisor, but he's retiring next month. Is this a good time for me to look for someone else, or do I just take what they give me?
You know, and a lot of people just default because the easiest thing to do is nothing, right?
Right.
So you end up with someone, oh, it's about the same. Well, maybe their philosophy isn't the same. Maybe they're investing in different securities. Maybe your fees are going way higher than they were before and you didn't know. It's a natural break, a point for you to start doing a search.
Right.
And a great search would be to call our office and we'll give you a review of what your situation is for no cost. And if we can help you out, we'll be happy to.
Next question is, I spent 40 years working for the same company and have almost all my money in their company stock. Should I be diversifying some of my retirement as I want to retire in 3 months?
Yeah, Intel or Hewlett Packard or any of these executives from these companies, you're taking a big risk. And when you leave a company, you don't know what's going on. When you're there, you might feel more comfortable having 80% of your money in the company stock or half of your money, but you know what's going on. But when you leave, you don't. Your retirement savings is for one thing and one thing only, and that's to generate income for the rest of your life. You have to replace your wages with something, and that's
Right.
all of your savings. And you want to make sure that the one thing that you do is that you have enough money to be comfortable for the rest of your life. So if you're all in one stock and something happens to the company, you may not be. So it's an opportunity for you to look at a bigger plan and make more income off of your savings, because that's really what you need in retirement.
Yeah, I always thought that the advice was always diversify, 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 right?
You're absolutely correct.
Okay.
And when you change from growth for 30 or 40 years of building your assets to a certain number, that's great. But then when you retire, everything changes because you no longer want growth. You can't take that risk. You don't have the years to
Right.
ride through the market. You want to take some growth and some risk, but most of your money you want safe and you want cash flow to be able to do all the things you want to do in retirement.
All right. And lastly, it says, I have had the same advisor for a few years. I want to retire in 12 months. He says he does not know much about taxes or income planning. Can I talk to you about it?
That would be probably a red flag.
Right.
So, and most advisors aren't fiduciaries, and most advisors are prohibited by their companies from giving tax advice as well. So we owned a tax practice for 10 years. We do a lot of tax consulting. We assist people in the full magnitude of everything they have. And at the end of the day, the largest expense that most every American has, their line item, is their taxes.
Right.
So you should be paying your fair share, but you shouldn't be paying more. And if your advisor doesn't know what a Roth conversion is, or how to generate income and make sure that you reduce your marginal tax rates as much as you can, you really need to find somebody that can help you with that.
We want to tell folks, if you'd like to find out more, contact David Swanson of Swanson Financial. And if you would like to have a question answered by David, all you have to do is go to our AM Northwest page and let us know your question. Thank you so much, David. Appreciate it.